Welcome to Art on YouTube again. Today we're going to be doing this pattern drawing. And so you're going to need a few things that I had on your list. Like make sure you have paper, your pencil, you'll need a ruler or something that has a straight edge, so you could use a larger box, piece of cardboard, sturdy piece of paper, whatever you could find at your house. And you'll need either a black Sharpie, or you could use just a regular Crayola marker or like a Rose Art marker, whatever you have at home. And it'll work just fine if you don't have a Sharpie, okay? Okay, one more thing that you will need is you're going to have to find some circular objects at your house that you can trace. I just kind of went around my house and got a bunch of things out of my kitchen. I got a little lid from a cup, a coffee lid, some makeup, like a makeup compact, which I bet the girls will have a lot of, a vitamin lid, and then I have like, just came off of like a peanut container or something. If you don't have very much stuff, you only need probably like 3 at the most, but you definitely need at least 2. If you don't have lids and you have a compass, you're welcome to use the compass, and you can just adjust it to 2 or 3 different sizes and use that to draw your circles. If you would rather do that, you can. It works just great, okay? All right, the first thing you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to pick 2 complementary colors that you will like to use in your project. I'm going to put a picture up for you, a color wheel, and so you can look at that and pause it for a little bit so you can decide which 2 colors you want. Remember, complementary colors on the color wheel are those that are directly across from each other. So that's like blue and orange are across from each other, yellow and purple are across from each other, red and green. And when you look at the picture that I put up, you can also see there are some other colors, like some tertiary colors that you could pick. Like if you want to do yellow, green, and violet, red, they're across from each other, or blue, green, and red, orange. And you just have to look at the colors of the arrows to see exactly where they're pointing to. But again, it's just directly across on the color wheel, so it should be really easy for you to figure out. When you have your 2 colors chosen, then you can push the button on your YouTube video again, and then we'll get started, okay? Okay, boys and girls, the very first thing that we're going to do is you're going to draw some lines from one edge of your paper to the other. So make sure you have your paper landscape or, you know, horizontal here. And then we're going to draw some lines from the top to the bottom, and you just need somewhere between 12 to 16 straight lines across the paper. So again, you can use your ruler, or you can use a straight edge of some sort at your house. Okay, and I already didn't get that one straight. So I'm just gonna draw 12 or 16 lines here. They can go any direction. It'll be easier if you don't overlap, so you may not want to overlap them. I'm gonna do some of them a little closer together and some far apart. Okay, and I'll draw my 16 lines, and then might do like 12 and then come back to you. Okay, so I drew all of my lines. I actually have 13, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my black marker that I have chosen to use, and I'm going to go over all of my lines just so that I can see them better. I'm going to use my straight edge to help me, so because I don't want to just do it freehand and then get them a little crooked. Okay, so I am drawing my lines here, and I just wanted to remind you to be careful when you're tracing your lines, because sometimes when you're using a ruler, obviously you've seen your marker get on your ruler before, you don't want to move it too quickly and then it will smear that black marker all over your page. That's probably more of a problem if you're not using a Sharpie and you're using like a washable marker like me, but just kind of be careful. I even sometimes just pick it up and move it so it doesn't smear the wet one so easily. Okay, so just keep that in mind as you're tracing. Careful not to smear that marker on there, okay? Okay, boys and girls, so far I have all of my lines traced, and so now what you need to do when you get done with that is make sure you go in and erase any extra pencil line that did not get covered with your marker. And just be careful if you're using, like I said, the washable marker, because it might smear if it's not all the way dry. It's not such a problem with the Sharpie, but just be careful. Okay, and now after you have this drawn, you are going to get your circular objects that you want to use, and I'd say you have to have, I mean, you don't want to really use more than 3 different shapes, but if you have 2, that's sufficient, but you want to do 2 or 3, no more than that, okay? And again, you can use that compass if you want. Now, if you're using the compass, you might want to go ahead and see if you can fit, if you have like a smaller Sharpie, it'll fit, but otherwise it's going to be kind of hard to trace your circles later. But I'm going to go ahead and draw my circles with pencil so I can decide how I want them first. I'm going to use this bigger one a couple times and trace it on here. I have to be careful not to get this little line in my table because it puts a bump on my paper. I'm going to put it down here also. And then I'm going to use this one, and I'm actually going to have it overlap my circle here, but I'm also going to have it go off of my paper a little bit because I like the way that looks. So I'm going to use this one, and then I'm going to use maybe this little smaller one, and I'm going to put it here, and I'm not going to have it overlap anything. I just want it to be a plain circle. I got that bump again, but then I am going to overlap this one here, this big one, and then I'm going to use my one in the middle here, and I'm going to have it go off the paper, but also overlap my big one just a smidge. Okay, just like that. And then let's see if I want any more. That's probably good. So we have 2 going off the paper, 1 regular, 2 overlapping. Maybe I'll do this one here, down here on the side, just to give it a little bit more variety. Okay, so there's that, and now I'm going to trace all of these with my black marker. So I'll do that, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. When I trace mine with the black marker, I am going to put my shapes back on my paper just so that way I can trace the circles pretty easily. It's a little bit hard to freehand, but it's up to you. But freehanding is a little hard. I tried it already, so you'll just maybe have to wash the marker off of your circles later if there's something you're not throwing away afterwards. Okay, so trace them all with your black marker, and then we'll be ready for the next step. Okay, boys and girls, I traced all my circles, and honestly, it was a little hard because since I'm using the washable marker, it did get on my fingers a lot and on my containers. So you'll just have to be careful. If you do have a Sharpie, it is a lot better for that reason, although it doesn't really affect your paper. But using the Sharpie does make it less messy. If you have one, that would be great to use. Okay, now I'm going to get my 2 complementary colors to begin my next part. So before you do that, make sure you go in and erase all of your pencil line because I didn't trace them exactly 100% perfect. So before you color, make sure that you get all of those extra pencil lines erased because you want it to look nice. Okay, I have all of my pencil lines erased, and now I'm just going to go in and start coloring with my 2 colors to do my pattern design. And so I have chosen to do the complementary colors purple and yellow. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to start coloring every other section with my purple. Okay, so I'll start here. So I'm just going to do my lines first. Okay, and then this would be white here. Okay, so I just want to show you what I'm doing. So I have purple, there's a little smidge of white that comes over this line. So then I have purple again, and then I'm gonna have white, purple. This will be white. This one will be purple. I'm just coloring my big sections first to make it a little easier to, oops, there's that little line in my table there from my leaf. And remember to always color one direction, except for maybe when you get up to your lines, you can kind of go that way. And then I'm gonna have purple and then white. And then this will be purple here in this little section. And then just to show you, all these white areas will end up being yellow. So this would be yellow here. This would be yellow here. And so I have yellow here, yellow here. This would end up being purple. I keep getting that line on my table, sorry about that. I always want to make sure you guys can see well. It's a little tricky with the camera. Again, you can go along your line to get up close, but always make sure that you go in the same direction when you're coloring. And so then I would have yellow here and yellow here. This will of course be purple up here. So you're basically just skipping, or you're skipping every other line to color. Now, if you accidentally mess up, don't freak out, just keep going. If you have one section that doesn't turn out to be the right color, it's not gonna ruin your project, okay? This is a big, enjoyable, fun project that you can create a piece of beautiful art. So I'll color the rest of this and then I'll show you what it looks like at the end. But just remember, every other one, even if it's super tiny like my one here, every other one color and then go in with your complementary color that you've chosen to finish up. Okay, have fun. Okay, boys and girls, this is what it will look like when you get all done coloring. Like I said, you'll color every other spot. So if you just do one color first, it makes it easier, and then you can just kind of fill in. So I switch every other spot, and it's the same way up and down too. So yellow, purple, or whatever two colors you chose to use. One little tip, if you do have a lighter and a darker color, sometimes like it was a little bit hard for my yellow, kind of wanted to make my purple smear. So if you have you can kind of outline along the edge of that purple and then color in so you don't drag it into your yellow. So just keep that in mind if you have a dark and light color when you're doing your complementary colors. And I hope you enjoyed this activity using shapes and line to make a really cool patterned piece. Bye!